Hey there, web developers! Welcome to the One Code Camp channel, where we explore the exciting world of web development. In today's tutorial, we're going to build a sleek countdown timer using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Perfect for launching a product, counting down to an event, or just a fun project to sharpen your coding skills. Alright, let's get started. First, let's take a quick look at what we'll be building. Our countdown timer will display the number of days, hours, minutes, and seconds left until a specified date. We'll style it nicely with CSS and make it dynamic with JavaScript. Let us start off by creating a folder where we will store our codes. And let us name this as timer countdown. Now that we have created our folder, let us proceed to step 1 and we'll create the HTML structure. Let us open our code editor and let us create a new file called index.html. Let's go ahead and create our boilerplate. Let us give this a title, Countdown Timer. As we can see from our boilerplate, we have started with the doc type HTML declaration to define this document as an HTML document. Next, we also have the HTML opening tag and the attribute lang set to English. This specifies the language of the document. Next, we have our head tag, and inside our head tag, we see multiple meta tags. The head tag contains meta information about the document, and the first metadata, charset UTF-8, defines the character encoding. Next, the meta name viewport ensures the page scales correctly on all devices. Here, we also have set the title, and for the title, we have countdown timer. Since we're going to use CSS for this project, let's go ahead and create a link to our CSS file. Let's add a comment signifying that this is where we link our style sheet and proceed with the link tag with a relation style sheet. And let us go ahead and connect our style.css. So let's go and create styles.css. And we can create this file by following this link and create file. Now that we have connected our styles.css, later on we can add some styling into our HTML document. Moving on to the body section, this is where the magic happens. We use semantic HTML elements like section and article to organize our content logically. The class section center will help us center our content using CSS. Let us add a class attribute to this article tag. It will contain an image element displaying the gift image. Let us add a comment here signifying that this part is the image section. Next, let's add a comment here saying that this part is the information of the giveaway. Now, let's add another article tag which will contain the giveaway information. It will have an H3 tag for the giveaway title, an H4 tag for the giveaway end date, and a P tag for the description. Now, let us create a div element with a class deadline. This will contain the countdown timer elements. Inside this div element, we will add multiple div elements as well with a class deadline format which will wrap a time unit. It will have days, hours, minutes, and seconds. And inside these div elements, we will add an h4 and span elements to label them. This part will display the number of days left with a heading level 4 and a span for the label days. Similar structure for hours, minutes, and seconds, each displaying their respective values and labels. The countdown timer is organized inside a div with a class deadline. Each time unit, days, hours, minutes, and seconds, is wrapped inside a deadline format div. This will make it easier to style them consistently later on. Finally, we will include the external JavaScript file that will handle the countdown logic. Let us just follow this link and create the file. Now, we've set up a basic HTML structure with a section for our countdown timer. Notice the giveaway and deadline classes. We'll use this in our CSS and JavaScript later. Now that we have created the HTML structure of our countdown timer, we'll move on to styling this with CSS to make it look amazing. To see the styling we have added in real time, let us open this with a live server. Now, we can see the HTML document here, and the styles that we will add will reflect on this browser as well. Let us start by defining our global styles using the universal selector. Using the universal selector and pseudo elements will let us ensure that all elements have no margin or padding by default, and use the border box model for sizing, making width and height include padding and border. Let's proceed to the body selector. Let us start by importing some fonts and set the default font to Open Sans. Let us go to Google Fonts and import the font of our choosing. Let us get the font, embed the code, choose Import, and copy this line of code. Let's paste it at the top of our CSS file and copy the font family code inside our body selector. Let us set the background color using the HSL value. HSL stands for hue, saturation, and lightness. It's a way of specifying colors in CSS that is more intuitive than the traditional RGB model for certain tasks. Hue is the color type represented as an angle on the color wheel. So if we adjust this to 0 degrees, it will turn red. Saturation is the intensity represented as a percentage, and 100% means it's the full color. Lightness is the brightness of the color, represented as well in percentage. 0% will be black. Let's try to use light red as our background, adjust the line height to 1.5, and font size to 0.875 rem. Rem stands for root element, and it's a relative unit of measurement in CSS that is based on the font size of the root element. The rem unit is used to set lengths relative to the root font size, which is typically set on the HTML element. The two main advantages of using rem are scalability, because it makes it easy to scale the entire layout by changing the root font size, and consistency, because it ensures consistency across the whole document since all rem values are relative to a single base value. Next, let us set all images to display as block level elements. Block level elements in CSS are elements that start on a new line and take up the full width available, stretching out to the left and right as far as they can. These elements are fundamental in creating the layout structure of web pages. Now, let us set a common style for all of our headings H3 and H4. Let's make the letter spacing 0.25 rem and capitalize all letters by using text transform. Let's adjust the line height to 1.25 and add a bottom margin of 0.75 rem. Let us also add a font family Roboto sans serif. Moving on to our section class, let us add a padding of 5 rem to the top and bottom. And to do that, let us add the first value 5 rem and a second value of 0. Next, we will move on to the section center class, so we can center the section by setting its width to 90% of the viewport width and add a margin of 5 rem for the top and bottom and set both sides as auto and setting a maximum width of 1170 pixels. Moving on to the main element, let us set it to have a minimum height of 100% of the viewport height, display it as a grid, and center its items both vertically and horizontally.